everybody, welcome. I am so excited to be here. We are going to be doing a buyer negotiation bootcamp so that you feel 100% confident when you're going into this huge home buying process. The objective today is for you to feel confident that you are getting the best deal on your property without having to feel like you're choking or you're giving up your firstborn child. So we're gonna make this manageable and break it down into pieces. And I am so excited for you to be marking this journey. A little bit about me. So I work with a whole range of people. And for some people, the name Yael is really unfamiliar and they have trouble pronouncing it. So I always say it's Ya and then L, like the letter L. And it means mountain goat in Hebrew. And what I think is so unique and beautiful is that it means the mountain goat is always going up. So it means to rise up and elevate. And I love to always grow and learn. And that's something I'm passionate about. I've been selling real estate since 2017. I've always wanted to do this since I could remember what I wanted to do when I grew up. I moved to Lakewood in 2014. I was in Rochester, New York before that. So anybody coming from Rochester, I miss you guys. And I am really passionate about helping people figure out what their budget is and how they can get the most bang for their buck while being realistic. So we really look at exactly what your situation is and customize our plan for you so that we can get you the best we can for the money that you have. And that's really my goal. It's so important for me that people have beautiful housing and they have a place where they can raise their family, enjoy the company of their friends, and just live their best life. And I feel like the home is the foundation of that, which is why I'm so passionate about what I do. I am a mother of 4 and I have a set of twins, which is something a little bit different and I love it. So we're having a great time here. So just to talk a little bit about how this workshop will help you and how the information will help you get the most money. So these are my clients, Sarah and Aryeh, good friends of ours. And they lived in a rental community. They had extremely specific needs. It had to be walking distance from a family member. So it really helped narrow down our search to identify that property. And at that time, the market was incredibly competitive. And the information in this workshop really helped set their mindset for exactly what to expect and how to move forward. And I am so thrilled for them. And it's so nice when your clients are your friends and become your friends and become your family. So what we're going to talk about is really some misconceptions that people have about real estate. A lot of times people think I shouldn't show my emotions when negotiating. I work with so many sellers and a common thread that they all say is, I want whoever buys my house to love my house. I want them to take care of it. I want a family to live there and have what I put my life, blood, sweat, and tears in. It's the biggest asset that people have. So showing your emotions and telling the seller that you love their home, it's okay. It's just as stressful as it is for you, it is for them. And what's a little bit funny is that the old time agents kind of had a different way when they would put in an offer and do negotiation, would be like, well, that house is so old and it needs tons of work and it hasn't been updated. And honestly, in this market, that's not going to get you very far. The next thing is that many people, they love to give real estate advice. However, when you're hiring a realtor, it's because you trust their professional opinion of this current and active market. And many people who have sold homes, bought homes, and are giving you this real estate experience, maybe they bought a house 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, maybe 5 years ago. That's not today's market. And just like when you hire an attorney, you follow their advice. When you hire a realtor, you really want to follow their directions so that you are making the best decisions possible. All right, so buying a home is scary. Buying a home is scary. What I always say is knowledge is power. And that's what this workshop is for, to give you the knowledge so you have complete confidence in your decision. And my sister told me today, she said, do a visualization and imagine yourself as a powerful mountain of strength and that just can't be phased. And I think that when going into negotiation is know exactly what it is you want and just communicate it. So we're going to go through the process, help you identify your needs, help you gain clarity so that you can make the best decision. Okay, this one I love. So people get afraid that they're going to be taken advantage of. they feel like someone is gonna rip them off. So again, when you know exactly where you stand, you cannot get ripped off because you know your position. So there's no getting taken advantage of. And additionally, we have the contract, and this contract is 13 pages. I'm going to quickly scroll through that contract so you can see what it includes, and that is meant to protect you. Okay, so this is the contract. I'm going to zoom in a bit so that you could see it better. Okay, so this contract is going to be reviewed by your attorney. So there's a 3-day attorney review period. So basically, your attorney is you're going to sign it, the seller is going to sign it, not binding. You have 3 days from the time that it's signed for an attorney to review it. If during those 3 days, no attorney reviews it, there's no communication, it's binding. Once attorney starts reviewing the contract, then basically that 3 days is up. It's just within the 3 days that they get started. So in the contract is going to be prepared by our agent. Kelly is our team. She is amazing. She helps prepare our contracts for us. You basically have the buyer, you, agrees to purchase from the seller. So you have your address, the block and lot. We put here, then we have the purchase price, the deposit amount, the mortgage amount, and the balance of purchase price. Then there's a section of where the deposit is being held and when it is due, how much the mortgage is for, and when the mortgage commitment needs to be delivered to the seller, and then when the closing time frame is. And then later on, there's going to be a section for the inspection period where you do your due diligence, and that inspection period is 14 days. Depends, you could do 10 days, 7 days, whatever works for you. So the most frequent thing I get is because prices have risen literally in my market center, like over 50% for the past 2 years, year over year. So, homes that we're selling for $350 are going for $600. So you can get the ballpark, and people are like, when is the market going to crash? Well, the first thing is that kind of growth, that year-over-year growth, is unsustainable. So what I think we're going to see is a leveling out. The value goes up about 5% a year on average. So what we've seen, I definitely think is going to temper down. And then in the past, this stat is about the past 5 recessions. In the past 5 recessions that we've had, the real estate market has actually gone up. And the only time it went down was in 2008 when it was fake loans. There weren't real loans. I do not believe the market is crashing. And the reason that I don't believe the market is crashing is because buyers are coming. And where are they coming from? So in our area, we have people coming from Brooklyn, Staten Island, Muncie, Toronto, LA, you name it. People want to, like, if they have children here, they want to come and move near their children. So you definitely are seeing people coming, and we have 40,000 children in the school system, and our population is doubling every 10 years. So it's all about supply and demand. So with more people needing housing, less available, prices just go up. In this slide, I want to look at what does it mean? What do the interest rates mean, and how does that affect you? In this, the median price range right now is between $550 and $650. That's the entrance starting rate for somebody buying a home. So if we want to have a monthly payment of about, this includes the $3,500, includes insurance. So this number at 12%, you could buy for $287,000, and this would be your payment. For an 8% in the 2000, the $400,000 range would get you a $3,000 payment. And today's market, a home for $550 with taxes included in that would be about $30,000. That's called $3,250. It would be a little bit more because this is not including insurance. So what you're doing when you are buying a home is you are basically buying a fixed mortgage, like a fixed monthly payment. And buying a house is basically going to give you a hedge against inflation, and it's going to allow you to have stability. We'll talk more about that later. Okay, this is a summary of the market. I pulled this information from the MLS, and I'll show you where it came from. But I just want to summarize this market. So I'm recording this video in March of 2023. It's actually April. It's like March 29th. So second quarter of 2023. And this is exactly where we stand. This is current active information for Monmouth and Ocean County in the market centers where I cover: Jackson, Howell, Brick, Manchester, Toms River, Lakewood, I don't know if I skipped something, but you get the gist. So the average day on market is between 1 and 30 days on market. Now, the thing with the 30 days, if a home is priced by a pro, it will sell within a week. Homes that are priced higher can be sitting on the market for 58 days, but the average is 30 days. The list to sale price is between 97% of asking and 108. So say there's a house on the market, and it's actually a real example. It was $569,000. And if my client offered, I think it was like 610. So let's do 589, and I'm going to do it at times 108% of asking. That comes out to 614. And then there was another home that was overpriced. Let's say a home was overpriced and it's $600,000. If you're going to be giving 97% of that, you're going to be doing, it's about 585. So it's like, I don't want to give blanket numbers because we always just need to look at the individual house and how it's priced and what amenities it has. But a $15,000 range in either direction is normal, assuming that the house price is done right. However, as you know, you can go $50,000 above, and if the house is priced too high, it will go lower. Let's talk about the difference between average and median. Okay, so what average means is you have a home that sold for $1.8 million, and then you have a home that sold for $375,000. So that's going to give you an average. So they're kind of like, when you have a bell curve, there are going to be these anomalies. The median is, okay, here are all the numbers. Let's put them in order. And what's in the middle of the bell curve? So the middle of the bell curve, I just was looking at year over year how the market has changed. Last year, the median price would be $540,000. And this year, it's about $600,000 for a home. So it's up, $67,000 in our market center. Currently, there is 20% less inventory on the market than there was last year. Therefore, prices will increase. So I would just say secure financing. If it goes down, you will refinance, and talk to your mortgage broker about the different programs that they offer so that you can get the best program. So I don't know if you could see the slide so well, but I pulled this data from the MLS, and it gives you the number of sold listings, the number of dollar volume, the median sale price. It's just great stuff. Okay, now we're going to talk about the negotiation process. So let's get started. Here's what we're going to cover. How do you know when to start shopping? Identifying the right property, getting your offer accepted, protecting yourself from getting taken advantage of, and using the due diligence process. On average, if someone's looking for a home, we really sit down and have a consultation. We just don't say, 3-bed, 2-bath, okay, here. We have a thorough process to identify exactly what you want. So when we do that, on average, it's about 5 to 10 homes for people to find the house that they love. Very rarely you'll have someone go and buy the first home that they see. And there are times where, yes, people's situation changes, their price point changes. Someone who must have a pool is suddenly, you know what? Okay, we don't need a pool. Or who must have a guest room on the main floor suddenly is okay not to have. So in that case, people's, criteria changes. And when their criteria changes, then things can shift. So definitely, if you've seen more than 10 homes, it's still okay. I think the max I recorded was I think we went to see over 48 homes before they found the one. And I can't even tell you, they got a sick house. And it is what it is. Okay. Multiple offers are still happening. Negotiation, sometimes you can, they're asking 600, you got 600, they accept it, and we move forward. Sometimes you give it an offer and the negotiation could take a couple of days. So it could be very stressful, but I just want to say that it just depends on the seller's schedule, what their work is, the agent that they're working with, whether they need more time or don't. Those are all factors. And typically closing takes about 45 to 60 days from attorney review. And what that in essence means is that basically the time starts counting from after attorney review is concluded. So you both sign the contract, and then your attorney reviews it. He may edit some of the terminology to make sure that you're fully protected, and then they sign off. Both parties sign off that it agrees, and now if we have a 45 days from attorney review, the clock starts ticking. If there is a deadline like April 29th, then both parties have a conversation to make sure they're on the same time, because attorney review can sometimes over here, it can take as short as 2-3 days, and it can take as long as 2 weeks, which is unusual, but it can happen. So we just want to make sure that we're on time frame with that. Okay, so continuing to talk about time frame, some of you are renters, so let's talk about time frame for renters. So unlike rent, your mortgage is paid after the first month, so it's kind of similar to a credit card, and basically just like you spend money in that month and then your credit card is due on the 15th. So with the housing, it's like you live in the house and then the payment is due the first of the month. So if you close on September 15th, your first mortgage payment will be November 1st. And if you're renting and your lease ends October 15th, you want to give yourself time to paint, change the carpets if you want to. If delays happen, you'll be ready for that. And then the mortgage payment is due. Confirm this all with your lender. This is crazy important. Crazy important. Basically, you need to make sure that you are truly pre-qualified, okay? So story, my client got a special rate because they went with X bank in Howell Township that offered a very competitive interest rates to first-time home buyer. It was like a local bank, and it was offering for that township a special interest rate. Now, the bank, they did not pre-qualify them as thoroughly as they should have. And a week before closing, they tell them you can't close. So when you go directly to a bank, you definitely risk this pulling out of the house a week before closing, you don't qualify. So I strongly advise against going with a bank. Brokers are definitely, in my opinion, the way to go. But obviously, you know your situation. So if the bank gives a better rate, I'm not like telling you not to. I'm just saying make sure that they do your thorough underwriting. In our situation, the girl was getting married and she got a new job because she just finished college, and it was per diem, and she had to take off to prep for the wedding, and there was holidays, so she didn't have the hours. So she just didn't have the income wasn't showing, even though she had a contract for a really good job. So that was sad. Okay, then closing costs. Just know, depends on the price range that you're in, but I would say it's like 10 to 20,000 depending. And then you are shopping for a monthly payment. So the way I look at it when you're renting is I look at it like, let's say you're paying $22,000 a month, and you say, okay, for my housing, I'm going to be able to do $2,800. So that would take me to purchase price, and find that out. And let's say you do with your down payment, like let's say I have $50,000 saved up. Okay, I'm going to put down 10% of a $500,000 home and figure out from there. What is a DU approval? A DU approval means direct underwriting, which means you have submitted your tax returns. You have submitted your pay stubs and your bank statements, and your lender is confident that you can close a loan. So good credit isn't good enough. You need a great lender, and you need to have the documentation in order. Also, if you are going into community with an HOA, that could affect the loan, and the payments could be higher and the rates could be higher. I think what's so important with using a realtor is that, just like if you went to a doctor and you complained that you had a headache and he said, here, let's do surgery, you'd be like, what? That's crazy. So buying a home, there's a consultation, there's a process. We want to provide you with extraordinary service. And it's not just like, 3-bed, 2.5 bath in Lakewood, because if that was all it was, you'd be buying the first house you see. There's so much more that goes into it, and we go through it all. We go through the lifestyle, we go through where you work, what schools you're in, what parameters, exactly what you're looking for, and we are extremely proactive to make sure that we understand your needs and exactly what you are looking for. Okay, so in this slide, we're going to talk about what other agents are saying will make them take your offer more than another person. So basically, the type of loan, how much equity are you putting in? Then the team that you're working with, like I work with Kelly, and she is beyond fabulous. And just knowing that there's somebody who's cooperative, who is professional, has definitely helped my clients get houses over other people. So what is the difference between a portal site and an MLS search? So a portal site is like Zillow and Realtor.com. And the challenge with that is that the information is not current and up to date. And basically, if you see a property on there and you call the agent, you're not getting the list agent. You're basically getting the agent who gave in the highest bid to get your call. So you really want to work with someone who you know has your best interest, who is out there for you, and not just the person who paid the most money to Zillow or Realtor.com. The MLS search is definitely like super thorough, super accurate. We can run all sorts of reports, so we know what the ballpark is of exactly what's going on in the market. However, when we set up the property search, you might say, I need something over 2,000 square feet. Now, if an agent is not putting in the square feet correctly, you might be missing a house that is 2,000 square feet. So we usually broaden the search so that we can make sure we're not missing anything. Let us talk about open houses for sale by owners and new construction. So when you go into an open house, you always want to make sure that when you sign in with your agent's name. Otherwise, most agents hold open houses to get leads and get new clients. So what they'll do is they're going to send you emails for life. So always sign in with your agent's name. The challenge with for sale by owners is that although there are for sale by owners that are successful, but generally they do not price their house correctly, and they are overpriced. They're not familiar with the process, and it's definitely way smoother when you're working with the agent. However, if there is a for sale by owner, your agent can take you there and negotiate for you and still represent you. And obviously the commission agreement would be agreed upon either with the seller or in the rare occasions with the buyer. New construction. So the difference between new construction and all other transactions is that typically the builder has their own contract that they want to use, and they usually require a 10% deposit up front. So if the house is like $800,000, they'll want $80,000 to secure your property. And there's not much wiggle room or negotiation. So what we try to do is try to kind of get you upgrades, as opposed to coming down in price, but getting them to add more things in. They also may require you to use their lender or their title company. Once you are at the property, for me, the perspective is, what can I change and what can I not change? A horrible purple wall, you can paint it white, you can change it. But if the house has no basement or no garage, that's difficult to change. Or if it's backing up a train station or on a busy street, you can't change it. Really look at what can you change and what you can change. So these are some important things. The flow, sometimes you'll have like an open floor plan, but there's no closet. So we really want to make sure that you're comfortable with that. Is there room to grow? So, can you finish up the basement? Can you finish up the garage? Putting an extension is expensive and work. So we want to really maximize that. Is there a place for storage? Also notice the pricing. Was it priced by a pro? Because if it is, it's going to go quickly. And then we have the neighborhood, and so much of it is lifestyle. In the next slide, I'm going to go through the style homes so that you can recognize them quickly when you see them in New Jersey. So this is a ranch style home, property that I sold. Pretty self-explanatory, everything on one floor, the 2-car garage. You can learn a lot from kind of seeing where the windows are situated, and there is a basement. This style home that you'll see in our area is called a split level home. So you come up the steps, so see in this picture, and this is where the living room, dining room, kitchen. So that's in this space over here. And then the bedrooms are up the steps. You'll have 3 bedrooms, and there'll be like a family room and office here as well. The next style home that we have in our area is a bi-level. The bi-level in essence is a raised ranch. So this is the upstairs and this is the downstairs. So you go up and there's a living room, dining room, kitchen here, 3 bedrooms here. The garage is actually here, and over here is like a bedroom and family room, but depends, it can switch, depends on the model. And in this interior, you could see the living room, dining room, kitchen, and then down this little hallway is the bedrooms. Typical colonial is when you walk in, living room, dining room, kitchen, family room, and upstairs is all the bedrooms. And then there's another style home that's a cape, where you have a living room, dining room, kitchen on the first floor. This is an extended cape, but most capes don't have a dining room. They'll have like an eating kitchen and a living room. And then there's 2 bedrooms on the main floor and then 2 bedrooms upstairs. So these are kind of just the general thing. Okay, so when you are looking at properties, so what you want to do is you want to go to the layer section, and then you want to go to more, and you get a satellite view. So the advantage of the satellite view is that you can see exactly, like, does the neighbor have a pool? Is it back to back with a gas station? This one is on a main road. Let's look at 118 North Hope Chapel because I want to show you that one. This one is like, you can see, oh, it's across the street from a public school. You know what I'm saying? And you could see that there's no sidewalk. So you can really gain a lot from doing this aerial view. Actually, this one does have sidewalk. So I just thought that was a neat little trick. What happens when there's multiple offers? So there's different techniques that we have to secure the bid for you. So I always tell people, forget everybody else. Put everybody else aside. What I want you to do is think, what number is my highest number I'm willing to pay for this house? And that's where you go for. And the way that you do it is you start with like, oh, hey, okay, would I be upset if someone got it for 505? Yeah, okay. Would I be upset if someone got it for 506, 507? And you literally go until you're like, you know what, if someone bought it for 535, good for them, and let them have the house. So you know that for 528, you'll still want it. You go with the 528. So you really have to tap inward. Stop looking at other people. And then if you want to make your offer stronger, these are things you can offer. Now, throughout this process, your realtor will be having conversations with the other agent to find out, are there other bids, what's on the table, and gather as much information as possible. If you make the inspection for informational purposes only, that's one strategy. You can write a letter about how much you love the house. We pay for title insurance, so you can offer to pay for their realty transfer tax. And then building rapport with the other agent, huge when you're qualified with a DU approval, also huge. And if the home doesn't appraise, be willing to cover that difference. When you're doing your inspection period, so there's a difference between regular wear and tear and serious defects. So we're looking for issues with roof, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, and structural. If you go into a home, you see if there's a nick on the floor. You can see if the wallpaper is peeling and if the bathroom is old. There's stuff you see if the siding is power washed. There are things that you just see. You can see a pothole in the driveway. All of these things are fully accessible for you. So the things we're looking for are stuff that you can't see, that you don't know how the electrical box was wired, and things that you don't know because you can't see them. So that's why we have an inspection. Always make sure to hire inspection that is licensed and insured. Don't bring your brother-in-law who's a contractor, because if you want a credit, that's not going to hold up with the attorneys. They're going to want someone licensed and insured. And actually, in other states, there's something called a home inspection warranty. So if the home inspector is saying the house isn't, all the appliances are in working order, you move in and 2 weeks later the furnace breaks, you're covered under warranty. So I'm communicating with inspectors. So far here, there's nobody who has it, but there is something called a full home warranty, which will cover you for a year, and that's something you can look into as well. These are just some details of the messages that agents will have to accept offers, to submit an offer. So no seller concession. I'll talk about seller's concessions. Basically, what that means is you're financing the house for they're asking $500, you give $510, but you're financing the $10,000 to cover closing costs. So the seller is netting $500,000. So sellers don't necessarily like seller's concession, because what if the house hasn't appraised? So no seller's concession and short due diligence. What does this mean? A 3-day inspection period, meaning we're not sitting, we're going to line everything up. Inspection for informational purposes. Buyer will not ask for any repairs, or will cap their repair as to not exceed X amount of money, regardless of the findings. So this is, just a way to make your offer sweeter. Yeah, it's hard because as an agent, I say don't waive your inspection period. If there's something broken, you want it to be functioning properly. So I struggle with this a little bit. Okay, what's an appraisal? People say, oh, what's a house worth? A house is worth whatever a buyer is willing to pay for it. So let's say there's a house for $500,000 and I'm willing to pay $850,000, but nothing sold for $850,000. The bank is not going to lend me money. So they send an independent third party to appraise the house based on similar comps. And I'm going to show you what an appraisal looks like. I'm so excited. Give me a second so I could pull it up. So basically you have the feature property and then the other properties, and then they give value basically to the different things. So let's say, for example, one home has a basement and doesn't have a basement. So a basement would be valued at $50,000. So it might be $50,000 cheaper. A garage is valued at $10,000. So if it's on a main street, it takes off, I think it's $50,000 when it's on a main street. So these are the things. So here's what happens. So you have appraises for $520, you have $20,000 instant equity. Awesome for you. You got a great deal. The way this could help you is if you ever have to take a line of credit later on, but otherwise you live in your house. So it's like, unless you're selling, you're not seeing it. And the buyer wants to pay that amount. Appraise is the same. You're great. Go right ahead. And if appraise is too low, it gets a little bit tricky and you need to cover the difference. The bank will finance 80% of, or whatever the agreed on, of the $490,000, and you'll have to come up with the other 10. So what happens if it doesn't appraise? So there's 3 things that you can do. Renegotiate so that to the appraised value, you can cancel the contract or pay above the appraised value so that you can go ahead with the transaction. So here's just some language that you'll see people use. In case of the appraisal difference, the buyer is willing to pay cash to proceed, contract, offer price. the buyer will cover the closing costs minus the realtor fee, or buyer will cover the cost of the closing costs. So meaning that the seller always pays the realtor fee, but they'll pay for the seller's closing costs. All right, so we are getting closer to closing. So basically, once the lender and the title company give their okay, there's something called a CTC, which is clear to close, real estate language. And then things move quickly. We do a final walkthrough of the property the morning of or the evening before to make sure that there's no holes in the walls or leaks. You will get wire instruction from your title company or attorney for the remainder cash that you're going to bring to closing. And then you either go to the title company or the attorney to sign documents. It is so anticlimactic. I can't even begin to tell you. You sign and you sign and you sign and you sign, and I'm like, yay, you own the house. But it is really, really special. But that signing is something else. And then just bring AD with you when you go. All right, so here's some challenges that buyers have. A lot of times people are like, I want to wait a year because I'm not ready. So I think the thing is schedule a consultation and get yourself ready, because nobody is ever going to be 100% ready. And usually you want to map out and plan and be intentional about it. So schedule that consultation. I'm going to wait till the market crashes. So this I just find funny. Because it's supply and demand, and with 20% less inventory and people coming from out of state to want to be next to their kids and the population doubling every 10 years, I just don't see it crashing. Honestly, interest rates are just like kind of going up. People are going to go with the first realtor they can think of. So I think to be very conscious that you want to use someone who you know is going to do right by you. It's a business decision. It's a real business decision. And you want to make sure that you are getting the best. Okay, so when you don't have enough money saved, I actually am going to be doing monthly finance classes. I'm a Steve Ramsey financial life coach. I thought it would help me with my real estate business, and then I realized I like selling houses better. But I do want to offer classes once a month to my clients. I have to, figure out the structure of it. Just to help you strategize how to save. And what you always do is talk to a mortgage broker, because the lender will help you as well to move you in the right direction. And you don't pay anything unless, once you close, they get paid. So they're not selling you anything until you find a house. So there's no pressure there. In terms of credit also, there's lots of options out there, and your lender can definitely help you. So thank you so much for being here. Our objective was for you to feel confident in negotiating the best deal property without having to feel like you are choking and giving up your firstborn child or your left arm. If we achieve that, give me a yes in the comments or text me and let me know what you guys think. And it's just so exciting, like when people are in a home, and it's a very special thing. From here, my job is to give you enough information so that you feel comfortable and confident making a great decision. All the other nitty-gritty details are on me, that I take care of and I schedule and do the back and forth, so you do not have to worry about that. And ask yourself when you're buying a house, like, what is this going to do for you? What is home ownership going to do for you? And I feel like home ownership really gives stability. My friend bought a house when she was like in her 40s, and her in-laws are still renting because they live in like Montreal and the prices are through the roof. Her daughter got married, and within, I think it was 6 months, they bought a house because they wanted to own a home. So it's like so much of its history, but that stability and knowing that your money is going into equity, and knowing that you're not just paying off your landlord's mortgage, but the money is going to you, is just super important. So here's what happens when you work with me. This is how we go forward. So what I do is I have like a neighborhood map. So it narrows down, like you can get acclimated with the different communities. So it's a Google map overlay. And then I have a recommended vendor sheet. So when somebody buys or sells a home with me, I ask them what work they did, who they used, and were they happy. So that's like a vetted past client information guide. And then we do the once a month financial courses that you can benefit from. Okay, so what do I ask of you in return? So I ask you to sign our VIP agreement, which basically is an agreement that we'll be working together. And it's basically a two-way street. I always say, as committed as you are, that's how committed your realtor is. So something comes off market, you call your realtor and you say, hey, there's this and this property that my friend told me about. Could you look into it? And you don't go cheating on your realtor, use somebody else after they've shown you many, many properties. However, if you want to use somebody else, just put it in writing, hey, I don't want to use you anymore. I've never had that happen, but at the same time, that's all we ask for. Our commitment to you is your commitment back. What's next? So You can book the consultation and complete your buyer intake form, upload your pre-qualification, so I have that on file for you. And then we will set up a property search and set up your time frame and go from there. I want to thank you so much for coming to this buyer negotiation seminar. And I want to thank you so much for being here. I hope you found this helpful, and feel free to text and reach out if you have any questions. I'm always putting up new content on YouTube, so you can follow me on my YouTube channel, and I am here for you. Have a great day.